About to leave Birdsville, 12:37. It's a little bit warm outside. Actually got to head back out the same way that we came into Birdsville and head south instead of east. Birdsville Track, 500 odd kilometres. We're not going to do it in one day. We're going to stop along the way, probably a free camp somewhere. Anything interesting along the way, I'll show you. Otherwise, enjoy the footage of the road. And we're heading towards Marree, 518, and ultimately Adelaide for this part of our trip. It's got a car coming up behind us, so I'll let it go behind us. In front of us, and the road conditions, it says the Birdsville Track is open. It doesn't say the Birdsville Track, it says the South Australian border road is open. Mercedes. Alright. Let's get going, eh? Make sure you check the road conditions, not just in Queensland but also South Australia. I think the last time I looked, a few days ago, the old Birdsville Track's still closed. It's been closed for quite a while. It says 100 kilometres an hour along here, but mentioned earlier, we'll probably just cruise along at 80, fourth gear, talking about a lock up. Keeps everything nice and comfortable. Take too long from Birdsville to get into South Australia. Road's been a little bit different for the last few k's, a bit rocky and a bit corrugated. Slowed down to about 45, 49. What's the best thing to do when there's trucks coming the other way? Pull off to the side and let them go past. Let them use the whole road, because they're going to use the whole road anyhow, so you might as well make it comfortable for you and them. Haulage, Birdsville. Well, we've been going for almost 2 hours now on this Birdsville Track. Just thought you might like to have a look at some of the engine and transmission stuff for those of you who are interested. And just a reminder, I've got the AB 66-speed auto conversion in this cruiser. EGTs are sitting at about 350. Boost at the moment about £5. Does go up and down a bit, maybe up to 10 at the moment. Speed, we're on cruise control. I've got it set at 80, fluctuates between 78 and probably 81. Coolant temperature says 86. Intake temperature 38. It's a bit cooler than it was at Birdsville. It was about 41, 42. And transmission cooler, or transmission oil temperature in the sun. I don't know if you saw that, it says 80. We're probably going to go for another, probably about another 20 minutes and pull up just after 3 o'clock. Rightio, where have we pulled up? Tippipilla Creek. Yeah, some of you are going to get cranky with me. You can hear it generating, and you're right, I'll show you why. So toilet's just across there. That way's Birdsville. That way's Marree. Sunset's over that way, that's west. That's the way we're facing at the moment. I've parked us up this way. See these trees in front of us. Hopefully they'll cast a bit of shadow as the sun goes down a bit. Cover that side of the caravan here. It's going to be crap in the morning. There's not much you can do about that. See the sand here, sort of in a creek bed, sort of. Flies are very friendly. Yep, 41.3. And I've said this once before. These are like little sardine boxes if you're just sitting out in the sun. And we've been travelling the best part of the day, so air conditioning on, knock the heat out of it. And yeah, we've set up a little bit house batteries in the caravan are full, 300 amps, I mentioned that previously. About to run a lead from canopy down to the drawbar to pull power to run the fridges from the caravan. Both the fridges I've got in the canopy are Ingles, so they're compressor fridges, but no air circulation while we're not moving. A shoe trick. That's a little bit of air in, eh? The other side's not too bad because it's not on the side where the sun is, so just leave it right open. Alright, fridge is running off the caravan. Got the solar plugged in for the auxiliary home battery. Got a BCDC 25. It's a pretty old one. It's just under the bonnet. Solar panels facing west. Get that sun. Got the external Wi-Fi antenna up for the Starlink. I should probably turn Starlink on. That's about it for the day, apart from getting rid of these flies and cracking a beer and getting a Starlink up. So I'll see you back on the road tomorrow, eh? Just minding our own business, driving along. We're probably about an hour or so from where we pulled up stumps last night. Just can't figure out whether that's actually water in there or it's just salt. Boss just looked on a paper copy of Hammer Maps, possibly Lake Howitt, H-O-W-I-T-T. Jump on top of the car, have a look up here. So that's where it sort of finishes down there. You can see. Looks like a little bit of green on the periphery over there. Camped this morning in that little creek. Had a couple of visitors on the roof. You could see some little marks on the solar panels there. And they're the new solar panels we had fitted. Some glass just walking around on the roof. I've seen a whole bunch of flocks of green budgie as well. We're going to stop down the road here a little bit. There's a station. I'll tell you the name of it when we get down there, just to get 20 litres of fuel. It's probably enough fuel to get to Marree. That's what I sort of budgeted for. But I think we'll probably get into Marree with maybe 10 or so litres. Budgies. You won't see them. Figuring this might be a drain for Lake Howitt. The salt bush in here. A bit of sort of a creek. Also here. The ducks in there. Imagine it's going to be pretty salty in there. See the salt on the surface here. Close to our morning stop. I think it's Muloorina homestead. Mate, we just camped up on the road down here, about 100 kilometres last night. Birdsville yesterday, Cookie sort of the night before.
So you're going?
Going south. Yeah.
You haven't been to Marree yet, eh?
No, we're just heading that way.
I got 35 k's yesterday.
Did you? Why is that?
2 tyres blew out.
Oh shit, that's no good.
Road, well, I didn't find the road too bad.
We're not in a hurry.
I came up from Marree last night.
Place to camp over here, eh? Mm-hmm. Good place to camp over here?
Yeah. My first time here, so I haven't really got much to compare it to.
Okay, fair enough. That's pretty good for the first time.
It's, yeah, it's cold beer, drink, food, fuel and accommodation. So
Yep.
I can't complain.
Bonus. Mungerannie. Old mate was just saying that he got 35 kilometres from Marree yesterday. Blew 2 tyres. There's a bloke over here. I think he's got a 200 series and he's Corrimal, and the young fella said it's the first time he's come through here, and came up from Marree and spent the night here last night. Not too bad, cold beers, all that sort of stuff. Food. Yeah, Mungerannie Hotel. Camp up here, pub, fuel, $310, 310 cents a litre. And put 20 litres in, quick $62. How you going, mate? Alright, eh?
Come from Birdsville?
Yeah, mate.
What's the road like? You good?
Yeah, not too bad. Couple of spots there where you slow down a bit. Yeah. You'll know when they hit those, it's just rocky and...
Watch out for the cows. You go and
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we saw a few, but not too close to the road. There's one spot there, there's like, there's a little, not far from here, there's like a little lake or lagoon with ducks in it. It's pretty rough there, but
Oh, it's just a crossing, you'll see it.
crossing, but the rest of it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Alright.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, cheers, mate. Said this once before, when you do your fuel, make sure your fuel cap goes back on nice and clean, because otherwise some of that will end up inside the fuel tank. So I'm going to give that a clean up and put it back on. About 30 k's to go to Marree. Thought we'd just pull up here and show you a bit. There's an info board here of why we've pulled up. I'll give you a look. It's obviously a border in front of us as well. So I'll talk to you about Roadkill. I'll tell you a little bit more about that shortly. Alright. Yeah, very hard to read what's on there, or what's left on there. But anyhow, there's some ruins over here. Yeah, I think the boss has got some info in the Hammer book about it. There's a lake out that way as well. Oh, it's got any water in it. That's back towards Birdsville. Marree's behind us. Just take the car over towards the ruins and we'll have a quick look at it. Sorry about the wind. Something curious about South Australia, I reckon, anyhow, to me. Like in our travels, it probably has the most amount of ruins that I've seen compared to other states like territories, Western Australia. The usual people, states. You know, ruins everywhere, particularly along the old telegraph track, or telegraph line, and Garn Heritage line, and that sort of stuff. Follow the railway lines. Watering stations, I suppose, for railway lines. Bit of steel sticking out here. The old mortar they used to use, just dirt and sand and stuff around. This one actually looks like it's got something. 1992. There's actually a bit of concrete in it or something. But that looks like more traditional sort of mortar. Flies are friendly too, by the way. Nice thick walls back in the day. Bit of wire right across there. Wonder what that would have been used for. Fireplace. Bit of a lintel, steel lintel. Well, camp for the night, Muloorina station. It's got a artesian thermal spring running through it. It's man-made and not. I haven't looked at it that deep. I mentioned the other day I had the slide fridge out on the lee side of the sun, if it's on that side, just keep it cool. But we're going to do a wrap up of the Birdsville Track, eh? That's probably a good start. Right, yeah, grab yourself a cold and frothy or a cup of tea. If you're not an Australian, you don't know what Roadkill is. I mentioned that earlier on before coming off the Birdsville Track. Go right to the end of the video, so that's where I'll stick that. There might be some graphic content there. The name speaks for itself, a bit of Aussie slang, I suppose. Right, wrap up on the Birdsville Track. It was about 510 k's, is that right, Prue? Yep. From start to finish, that's what it's gazetted as. I didn't measure it or anything like that, just took it for its word. That's probably from, not from Birdsville per se, it's probably from just outside Birdsville, the township itself, to the sign at Marree, and you'll see both of those signs in the video. 510 k's. It took us just over 24 hours with that stop at Tippipilla Creek, I think it was. There's a couple of free camps along the way. Some of the stations they have no camping except in designated spots, for example the Cooper Creek. There's a place called Coolabah Campground, which is about 50 k's north of Marree, I think. There's probably one spot that I wish we'd stopped at. It was, there was a crossing that we went across, and you'll see it in the video, where there was a water hole, and we stopped there and had a look at a couple of ducks, and probably about a kilometre up the road on the left hand side there's a bit of greenery, and if you looked back north there was actually an artesian bore, an open artesian bore coming out, and there was steam pouring out, and it was fenced off, caution and all that sort of stuff. Probably been nice to stop in there and have a look, but we didn't. There's probably one other camp spot. It was at a creek, probably a little bit further north than where south from where we stayed last night. And it was probably, I think it was before the pub. It looked pretty nice. It was right, pretty close to the road though, that's the only thing. So there are a couple of spots there you can camp up at. Points of interest, those ruins that we stopped at. If you look at Hammer Maps, there's a couple of notes there, but we didn't see any signs or anything like that. A bit like the Strezleki Track, I suppose. No signage for any points of interest, except for those ruins which stood out like a proverbial. Road conditions were pretty good for us, averaging 80 kilometres an hour, I suppose, and some sections 60 kilometres an hour. No dramas. You'll have seen some comments from a couple of the people that we saw at the pub this morning, where they had some dramas with blown tyres and stuff, and they were going on about cattle and rocks and stuff. And certainly southern side from the pub, the roads are a bit rockier, and probably not as comfortable as the northern part of that road. Manageable in two-wheel drive, but would I drive a Honda Accord or a Holland Commodore or something, or a Tesla in there? No, absolutely not. You'd certainly still want something, I think, with high clearance to make it comfortable, and something with some decent suspension as well. Drive it in a day if you want to do, quite easy. I think people do. Challenging? No, not really. Like the Strezleki Track. No bitumen though. So I'd score it probably like out of 10 as an experience 4 or 5, I suppose. Some interesting country. Yeah, that's about as best as I can say. I could only imagine what it would be like when it's wet. There's some clay areas there and a lot of low country where they talk about flood warning and the like, and it's some child country in there as well, so that's probably where it gets its notoriety from. And again, I'm just going to draw an analogy with the Strezleki Track, a bit similar to that as well, I suppose. That's my wrap up on Birdsville Track. What I found pretty interesting, or noted I suppose, travelling the Birdsville Track about Roadkill, and you drive from Patuta or Kupi out towards Birdsville, and there's a lot of dead animals on the road, which you usually see on Australian roads. So that's roadkill, dead animals, whether they're pests, natives or otherwise, and they're usually the casualties of a close encounter with a vehicle of some kind. But between Birdsville and probably about 50 k's north of Marree, I didn't see any roadkill at all, except for black-rimmed rolled roll, not native or not associated with the quoll. I'm going to drop a couple of pictures in here, have a look at those. And here's a fragment of one here. Yes, it's a tyre. There was plenty of tyres on the track. So make sure your tyres are in good nick. And my brother-in-law said to me many years ago, he used to drive around the country a fair bit, said if your tyres are less than 50% wear, get rid of them, put new ones on before going for a drive. And so nothing earth-shattering about that roadkill stuff, apart from not observing too much dead wildlife until just before Marree. I said I was going to talk to you about it. Rocktamers, stone stompers, stone deflectors, all over the place I suppose, and it collects a bit of rock. So, you know, I'm going to assume that that's made it past the goalkeeper. It's here in the mudflats, flicked up there somewhere, hit the stone guard at the front of the caravan, which is great, and bounced back. There's some rocks up here before as well. Clean that off every day, otherwise it drags and sips, drags and sags, droops and sags. Now this landcruiser 79 series is pretty narrow, certainly narrower than a Pajero, a 200 series, a 300 series, even a Hilux. So most vehicles, I'd imagine, unless you've got a 79 series or something even smaller width-wise, it's going to stick out wider than the old Matrix, for example, or the Quantum Plus. I think they're about, what, 1.95, I think. That's what they're advertised. And I mean, AOR sell the protector things for your awning covers. Why do they do that? To protect it from bloody rocks. Some time ago I had Road and Track Fabrication manufacture these. Protect the raptor from being stone chipped, and you can see in here stone chips, and even some along there. If you have a look at some of the videos on the AOR Facebook page and have a look at people who've travelled through a little bit of wet country and you see all the mud and stuff all up the sides of their vans, convert that to rocky roads like the Birdsville Track that we've just done. Is it good or is it bad? I think it's good for us, anyhow, and with this setup. I would suggest if you got a wider vehicle that your van is as susceptible as our van is to stone strike, or even more so. Anyhow, have their place, so do Rocktamers. They don't get everything. See that by the rocks in the bottom. Definitely don't get everything. That's worth a shitload more than the van's worth a shitload more than bloody this piece of stainless. So a couple $100 fitted. Paul from Road and Track Fabrication. That's a plug for him, he doesn't even know it. And even have a look at the front of these stone stompers. There's quite a bit that gets past the keeper, eh?